All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Sorry. We went to go eat. We were hungry.
I'm going to be honest. He gets plain meat and cheese tacos from Jack in the Box.
They're actually
nothing else
super
on them.
amazing.
They're not. Meat and cheese? That's like literally nothing.
I don't like you.
All right.
Time to do another roster breakdown.
Please stop it, man.
Roster breakdown. We're breaking down the good old best organization in North America, CLG.
Awesome.
We're breaking down Cloud9. Forget CLG. All right. So Cloud9 went through a lot of up and downs this year, but their highest highs easily trumped their highest lows. Top 4 at Worlds, finals again. They reached their glory, but it's going to be a new year, a new team. Let's go over them. So they didn't make any changes beside mid.
That's a big change. It's not like they didn't make any change.
Let's go with gaps. Jensen for Niski.
I don't know how big of a gap that is.
Niski for Jensen. Sorry.
I mean, I think it's a gap. I think they definitely downgraded, but the thing about it is, Niski
How hard did they downgrade?
I don't think it's that much. On top of the fact that Niski showed that he has a lot of potential. I want to be honest. I don't think Niski was a very big downgrade, if anything.
All right, so let's go with... Man, it's really... Since they're the best team in the org... Let's see. Since they're the best org, you got to look at it from this perspective. If they finish... So, what's the highest that you think they should finish to not be a disappointment by how much they did last year?
I'm talking about in terms of the next season?
Yeah.
3rd or 4th.
So you're saying if they don't make it to a 3rd or 4th place match, it's a disappointment for them.
Mm-hmm.
So what about in terms of finals? You think that they have potential to make the finals?
I mean, to be honest, most every team in the league right now has the potential to make the finals.
If you're in the top 6, that's potential to make the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that once they finish top 4 at Worlds, coming back and being anything less than 4th is really bad. I think that you got to take a look at, okay, we did all of this really well. There should be no world in which you don't finish 4th or below 4th.
Let's go back to the fact that what happened at Worlds was Svenskeren obviously popped off. He doesn't usually do that. Svenskeren almost never plays to that extent unless it's a playoff to Worlds game. So, you can't expect that from him from a regular season. I'm sorry.
And if not, they'll put in Blabber again.
But imagine, the jungler is not going to be as strong as when they're at Worlds.
Yeah.
The mid lane is obviously a pretty decent downgrade.
But downgrade to what extent? The problem was that Jensen played everything and was the best laner, one of the best mid laners in the league.
I don't think it's a big downgrade, but I still think it's a downgrade. So, obviously, they're weaker than the Worlds form. I don't think they're going to be even close to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
but they do have. You could look at this team and go okay, at one point they could do that again. You can't think
at 4th place. I'm 4th place at Worlds.
No. This team could. They have that. They have that element. Well, Cloud9 has that element with them. They can come out and just be a not only an immediate threat, but also be a silent threat as well. I think that you get that from the draft phase. You get that from coaching. You get that from the players themselves. A lot of the players don't mind coming back and being okay, I'm not going to be a carry this game. That's totally fine. I'll let this guy do it, and I trust my teammate to do it. A lot of the other teams aren't bringing that, and I think that that's going to go a lot longer in a certain way than the other teams are.
I'm going to be honest, Svenskeren is inconsistent, but what I believe in the most on this team is the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. They have 2 extremely strong coaches.
Rapid Star and
Reaper. Rapid Stars obviously improved draft. The drafting phase since Rapid Stars came on has been insanely increased. I think the quality of it is just way better.
He was one of the first people that coined the benching game.
I think with the quality of the coaching staff they have, on top of the fact that I think Licorice is going to improve this year. I think he's going to be a better player this year.
That's good.
It is
even better compared to what he had last year.
All around, I think.
And we power ranked him 2nd, 3rd. So
last season?
No, for our power rankings for top laners this split.
I didn't put Licorice 2nd.
You had him at 3rd. You had Huni at 2nd.
Yeah.
So that means if he's 2nd for me, 3rd for you, and he's what, 2nd pretty much, arguably 3rd. That means that he's going to be one of the best top laners in the split. So you still have that, and he's also a carry too. So you're going to have that added bonus too. And he's not, scared of playing stuff out of meta to get his team an advantage too.
So. I'm going to be honest. I would like to see. I think Licorice will improve, but to be honest, to what extent he does improve, I don't think. At the state he was an international threat. He was not at that point yet. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see him improve to where I think he could compete with international stars. I think he definitely has the potential to. But we need to see him. Top lane needs to improve a little bit. I think he's going to.
But I think he has to improve the least out of any of his counterparts.
He does. I would agree with that. Jungle is the big question mark because obviously we've seen Blabber.
So spoilers if you watch this video from this point. Svenskeren for us is tied at 5th because the reason why he can't take his world experience and put it in the regular season.
I'm just gonna say Svenskeren is very inconsistent and Blabber is very bad in clutch situations and more so high pressure situations.
But Blabber's better in the regular season. Svenskeren's better in playoffs.
So I think that Jungle is a big liability and a what if. The question mark definitely more so goes on them than anybody else on the team.
But we know Svenskeren, even though he's inconsistent, he's competent enough to play any style of jungle you need him to.
I don't agree with that. I feel like he's only good on high tempo junglers. I don't like his his tank style. I think that the only reason he's been so decent at let's imagine the last 3 times he went to Worlds, on two times on TSM, aggressive junglers were in meta the first time. The second time, it was mostly tank junglers, and the third time, it was aggressive junglers again. And he did well the first one and the third one, but he did not do extremely well in the second one. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the way he played in his Season 7. He definitely was one of the probably worst players on TSM at that point. Mm-hmm. And
if you go back to the SK Gaming days when he went to Worlds and there was aggressive junglers, he looked really good too.
I'm gonna be honest. Svenskeren does not bring, he's extremely inconsistent and he only thrives in one meta. So I'm really worried about what he's gonna bring to the table for Cloud9.
Technically, he's a bigger question mark than Niski is.
Yeah, he is. I think Niski is in towards the end of his season, summer season. I think he did extremely well. Like his Cassiopeia where he was 1v9ing. I think Niski brings a lot to the table.
And it wasn't even just that game. There was a lot of other games where he was doing just fine.
I think that Niski...
See, that's the problem. If you're not going to get Jensen... See, the problem. If you replace Jensen, the issue is that you want to go with someone that's going to not give you... You're not going to get what Jensen gave you, but if you go with someone that's just fine, that's perfect. Like, if they got someone that was a little bit worse than Power of Evil, that's perfectly fine. That's the best you could have even hoped for. I think because they were trying to get Caps. And if they had got Caps... They're probably the best team. Holy crap! Jax. They said they were trying to get Caps really bad, but it's okay. They have Niski, and Niski I think it's gonna be fine. But jungle, the problem with the jungle is that he's gonna see in Spring Split. In Spring Split, he got what 3rd All Pro in LCS jungler.
He did,
but aggressive meta was the thing. Aggressive junglers were the thing, and.
I think Blabber is going to be the one reason why I'm not going to put this as a complete...
maybe third.
Because Blabber is he's a good tank jungler player. I think he could easily bring this team when Svenskaren's struggling. I think he could be the one thing that keeps them going. Mm-hmm. So...
Now, I think mid's going to be a really interesting talking point.
I'm really impressed with Niski's recent performances, so I'm not even going to say this is a big downgrade.
It's not a big downgrade, but it is a downgrade if you want to compete higher in the league with other people.
I mean, honestly...
Like TSM, Team Liquid.
He can hold his ground against all of them. I think that is not a liability.
What's the liability about him is you don't really know what Niski shows up. That's his problem.
I think he was consistent towards the end of the split. I think that... What we're going to have to hope for is that he continues his upward trajectory and becomes the star that I think he's going to perform to.
You also have to hope that... See, his problem... People. I need to hope you guys understand this. When he went back to Europe, a lot of people talked about the more better mid laners gave him a run for his money. So, initially, that made him a lot better. And I think that you played against a lot of better mid laners. You take it back to worse caliber mid laners. I think it's just going to translate better. He did fine. He was actually supposed to be the rookie of the split when he came over, but Mike Young got it. So I think he functions fine over here. He's been in North America before. I think, and he had worse teammates than him. Now he's got better teammates.
I believe 100% in Niski. I think it's
going to be just fine. It is a downgrade. I want to put up. It is a downgrade. It's not going to be what Jensen was, but. This is the best you could have asked for.
I honestly think he can get to the level of Jensen, to be honest. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to be pretty...
Can he be as flexible as
Jensen? He is already as flexible. It's more so he needs to be as talented. I think
that's the issue. Jensen had CS improving leads, drastically. He solo killed. He roamed around the map.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Jensen was good. Jensen didn't perform well.
Jensen's arguably better than Bjergsen at certain points. Niski's not going to be better than Bjergsen, probably.
I'm gonna put. I think that he has the capabilities of being one of the best mid laners. I think that he's been gradually increasing, and I think by the end of next year, you're going to see somebody who is a complete superstar in NA. think that's what's going to happen.
I don't think they should switch him. At that point, if he's a superstar, man. But at that point, would you take caps from G2 if you're Cloud9?
I mean, it depends on how well, how much like Niski improves, but I would always take caps.
Yeah. But looking at a guy that, like, I mean, Jensen just brought everything a mid laner could bring to the table. The only thing Niski really doesn't bring is really just pocket picks, honestly. Pocket picks and roaming is not
I
really...
think Cassiopeia was in the meta when he picked him during the summer split, to be fair.
True.
I think he definitely has some form of pocket picks, at the least.
I mean, Reaper's going to have him pick out pocket picks.
I just think that Reaper obviously showed that he believes in this dude. I think the way he interacted with Niski himself, it showed that he's obviously thinks he's capable.
And he definitely didn't have that when he was on Splice.
Yeah, I'd like to see...
Yeah, because I forgot to mention when we do our power rankings for the NALCS. These are remember the top 3 teams you pick are going to be the top teams going to Rift Rivals too, because they're our top 3 teams. So, do you think Cloud9 would be a top 3 team with Niski and be a threat at Rift Rivals?
I don't think they're going to be. If you want my honest opinion, I don't think they're going to be a top 3. I don't think they're going to be a top 3 team. I think they could easily compete for the top 3 point, and they could make it. But if you're gonna say who do I think is gonna make the top 3, I think that.
We gotta keep that secret.
I'm
just kidding.
Spoil that. I'm just saying.
Are they gonna be better than the teams people expect to be better than them?
No, I don't think they're gonna make it to that point. But obviously, I believe enough in Rapid Star and Reaper to where they could surprise me easily. I think that's the reason.
I think them getting first or second wouldn't be surprising, but it's not probable considering the better teams. Then that's.
I would say it would be extremely surprising to me.
Really,
I would be extremely.
It's not even surprising. I've seen them do it before, so it's
I don't like
not
to base.
surprising.
Again, past precedence isn't enough. This is a
but
pretty decently different
look at them as an org. They only really ever had one bad split. They've shown that they know what to do in the. I don't care about the
orgs, man. It's the orgs don't play. The players do.
I know, but they've shown they know what to do by now to get themselves a good regular split.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be extremely surprising if they get the top two spots. I would probably assume they're gonna be 3rd or 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get any lower, like it could happen. We don't know how good some of these, like the jungle is gonna be very. We obviously know that they're inconsistent.
The junglers are actually the 2 question marks.
But I'm gonna put this out there.
But we have Golden Glue too. If you want to talk about that,
I don't really think we need to acknowledge him. He's not gonna be the starter. He's gonna be swapping out with Svenskeren and Blabber, all that stuff.
But
I think
if you look at Golden Glue, he's
drastically improved since his Team Liquid days. I think that
I think him playing the game actually helps.
I think that kind of shows the quality. Like it shows the amount of how the environment of Cloud9 itself is. I think that shows that they've improved.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shows that this is probably the best organization in terms of fostering new talent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we're gonna have to go with Golden Glue, I don't think he's a liability if he's in. So I think they have.
I think he'll be just fine.
I think we have 2 solid swap arounds with Blabber, Svenskeren, and Golden Glue Niski. And then the weakest. I'm gonna put this out there.
He thinks the weakest part's gonna be Sneaky. Actually,
I think that Sneaky has not been a top 3 ADC in NA for a long time. It's been a very long time since I think he's taken that position. I think that I think Sneaky's gradually getting pretty. He is a solid player. He is a solid player, but I don't even know if he's gonna be like with the quality of the ADCs that have came into the league. I don't even know if he's going to be a top 5 ADC.
He's usually held his own against those people.
He holds his own, but he's never been a carry threat. I don't like
sometimes he can be a carry threat.
I think Sneaky.
You don't like the whole I can be a carry threat every now and then.
The thing about it is Svenskeren is sometimes a carry threat, but I don't believe Sneaky has the capabilities anymore. I think he's gradually got worse each year. I like him. He's the face of Cloud9, but let's be realistic. He is not the best player. He's not the best player in his position. He's not the best player on the team.
Sometimes you don't have to have that to have success.
I mean, yes, if you have 3 really solid players, I think you have to have at least 3 solid players. No, extremely good players. I think you have to have 3 stars to be able to compete on an international level. 2 stars if they're that good. Like, if they're that good, like 2 superstars would be fine. 3 pretty great players. Any less than that, you have to have good players
in spring. He got 3rd All-Pro in NALCS ADC.
I know he did, but I was not impressed by his play. I think he's proven that he's able to hold his own against anybody.
He can team fight very well.
He can.
He team fights a lot better than a lot of the ADCs that are in the league. Actually,
he's extremely weak in laning, which is a really big liability.
It's not that he's really bad at laning. He's bad at laning he's bad at laning when it comes to counter matchups to a better player than him.
No, he is bad at laning because any aggressive laner can take advantage of Sneaky. Sneaky is.
There's gonna be a lot of weirdos that are gonna like that saying you just said.
I wish, man. I wish that was this. But I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, so we have to kind of run down why people think he's bad in lane.
No one. Okay, let's be honest. Sneaky, like I don't know how to explain. He doesn't aggressively contest.
Some people are gonna ask to explain this. Why do you think he's more worse in lane than someone like Sven?
Okay, let's think.
Sven had a bad split too.
Yes, but Sven. Okay, let's think about it. Every single time you go for a CS. Like, Double It will harass you for the CS, essentially.
Like a world-class ADC
Double It, well, essentially, Sneaky knows that he's not at the same quality in terms of CSing and playing all these aggressive laners. He's not able to play Lucian to the same extent.
That
he's not
Double
able,
It for Sven can.
Yeah, he can't. He can't play these high mechanical ADCs that most of these people can. I do like Sneaky as a player. I like him as a player. I think he's really solid. But at the same time...
At clutch moments, he can win you games.
He can. I still want to put this out. He's one of the... I don't even know if he's going to be a top 5 ADC in the league next year.
I think he'll be top 5.
I think he's
never been below top 6.
Sven, Double Lift,
Bang. And you think Styx is going to be better?
It's really a big quality.
I think that Sneaky is going to be 4th or the 5th ADC.
I think he could obviously be from 4th to 6th. I think that Piglet, if he shows
But he's never been anything lower than 6th
anytime Piglet's been in the league besides his 2 games with Clutch, he's been better than Piglet. He's been better than Sneaky whenever he's been consistently in the league. I think that I like Sneaky. I think that he's not a liability, but at the same time, he's not a world-class player. So
but sometimes, like I said, you don't have to have that in games.
You don't.
If he's just solid enough, that's worse than having a player like Rikara.
Would you
rather have Sneaky or Rikara on your team?
I'm not saying this. You can always get worse.
No, I know, but like what he provides is.
Let's be honest. What they need 2 to 3 superstars on the team. How many do they have? Name them off.
The superstars?
Superstars, international threats.
Licorice is potentially one.
He can be by the end of next. If he improves by the end of next split, I think he could be.
Svenskeren is a inconsistent world threat.
Inconsistent. So
we haven't never seen this at Worlds.
I'm going to say that, but I think
he would do just fine there.
We have to imagine that he could. So if these 3 show up...
Zazel's shown that at Worlds he's a pretty competent supporter.
He was really terrible at Worlds. I don't know what you're saying.
No, he was a competent
I think guy. He was pretty... I did not like Niski's performance. I mean, not Niski, Zazel's performance at Worlds.
So we might as well talk about Zazel at this point.
I think
Zazel... It's really hard to go by. Because there were games where he looked good. He wasn't completely terrible the whole time.
He improved towards the end of it.
I think that the Gambit series, he played a lot better.
I think he did pretty terrible at the beginning of the group stages. At the
playing stages, right?
The group stages.
The actual group stages.
Yes, the actual group stages. He did pretty terrible.
The second half.
He improved, and I'll give him that. But I think
he went from the Gambit series to doing really well to doing like
I'm gonna be honest.
Part of the week 1 of the group stages to doing.
I don't see Zazel as like an up and coming star. I see him as a pretty solid support.
Kind of like their next Elimination?
Yeah, I would think that he's a little better than what Elimination provided. I think that he's going to be a next who can pretty much facilitate any ADC you give to him, but he's never himself going to take over again.
We're looking at Cloud9 as our best team, so they're going to have to be doing stuff better like as the best team. Because you think, let's look past spring, they're going to Worlds most likely. How's this is your team for Worlds, right?
I don't even agree with that. I don't think they're going to go to Worlds this year.
I think they are.
Well, you're a Cloud9 fan.
You've said that for years, and every single year you've been wrong.
Well, every other team completely disappoints during the end of it.
Cloud9's like, hey, other team, go disappoint so we can go to Worlds.
That's really what happens in the gauntlet. Every single time. Like, they're going, everybody's on fire.
Jack pays them off to like, hey, please underperform so we can go to Worlds.
Like,
please.
And then Cloud9 3-0s everybody. Like, or reverse sweeps them.
Hey, Bjergsen, how much money do you want for you?
But let's be honest, I don't, like, if all these teams come to the capabilities as what they're capable of, I don't see them going to Worlds. I think that there's a few teams that are better than them.
If they go as the 3rd seed, that's most likely that they go as the 3rd seed.
I could see TSM probably just on paper being better than them. Obviously, the top, like the other 2, the ones that got the Korean imports, Team Liquid and Hunter Thieves, they could easily be better than them.
Yeah.
But I want to say that they could easily make it to Worlds because any one of these teams can underperform.
But Cloud, you got to factor in, just because they have those star players, like I said before, doesn't exactly mean that it translates to success. But they've shown that they can have success with people that have just started being competitive in the first year. That's better than half the people that have had superstars for years,
This is a bad argument.
No, not necessarily. Because you have other star players who haven't. So those rookies have had more success than Double Lift. How crazy is that?
That's incorrect. They had one good split. That's not.
I guarantee you, Double would rather have top 4 worlds than all of his NA titles.
One time, and then having no success for the rest of his career. No, that's one. I would not. One strong showing is not good enough.
No, I mean like they've achieved stuff that other players have been striving to achieve.
I'm happy for them, but at the same time, fostering NA talent is good, and I think that's their best quality. But at the same time, we can't keep consistently say they did this in the past, so it's going to happen again. I'm not going to say that.
I'm not saying that.
You're saying that it's most likely that they're going to go to Worlds.
Sometimes just not having the star players can give you more success than having the star players.
That means nothing because that's based off of something that we can't see yet. I'm going to base it off of what is on paper. Mm-hmm. On paper, Cloud9 shouldn't make it to Worlds. In reality, it's very likely that they do because one of these teams could underperform.
I think based off coaching staff.
Coaching staff is the one thing that's
coaching staff, the way they draft, the way they like to function with their players, giving the strengths they need for comps. I think they make Worlds again, but we're talking about spring, so they're going to be going to Rift. Do you think that they could be going to Rift Rivals?
I think they could be. I'm going to give it to them. Again, the coaching staff is what sells this team to me. The coaching staff easily could bring this team up to caliber of being a top threat in NA. But again, that's all dependent on whether or not these players are capable to pull off the comps they're given. I don't know.
People like to look at the Fnatic games. Reaper gave them perfect drafts.
He did.
Echo severely counters Victor. I mean hard. Like, what is Victor going to do? You laser him. Echo can dodge the lasers fast.
And to be honest,
literally it is kit to do that.
I feel like the picks themselves were great. Just like Sneaky played Victor well. I'm gonna give it to him. He didn't underperform on Victor. I think he played well. I think the biggest disappointment was Licorice just getting outlaned. He got outlaned by Whippo for the most part.
Yeah, Sneaky laned fine. The problem is reason why people power rank them to lose against Fnatic is because Fnatic outclasses them across every single position.
They have a better ADC. They have a better support.
They have a
better mid laner.
An actual consistent Worlds threat jungler.
Yeah, and then a better top laner.
Well, we didn't know that at the time because they're both rookies, but
it's not what we
saw.
Yeah, I think that Whippo showed that he was pretty much decently better than him for a long time. I think all around the map they lost, and I thought that
it was worse than that.
No, I think
they got stomped.
They lost all around the map, but they lost all around the map to a few teams that they beat, which is kind of confusing.
No, because that was weird. They outsmarted and out-proactive the teams that they were losing against.
The thing about it is, the reason they won is because they made aggressive decisions, and that kind of pushed them over the top on these better teams.
Also, Reaper gave them picks to facilitate their style.
They got good picks.
People need to factor in, they won against those teams because they played a style that specifically worked for them.
I want to put this out there. Rapistar made the graphs. He's the better coach, most likely. In my opinion, I think once he came out of the team, Cloud9 was obviously better. I think he's probably the better coach.
So, I mean, with this year, with that, and you got to factor in, if they're going to... A lot of teams do not give their players the picks that they
I would like to
want
imagine,
to succeed.
In a perfect world, I would like to see Cloud9 go to Worlds. I like...
But this is spring, so we got to... Yeah. It's Rift Rivals.
Well, I'm just going to say all around.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about in general.
Do you think this will be a top 3 team by spring when it's over?
By end of spring, I feel like if this team gets online, they're going to do it towards the end. I think they're going to come alive towards the end of summer if they come at all. I feel like on paper, just they're worse than a lot of these teams, so they're going to be worse. But when they've gelled together and the coaching staff gets a hold of how this team plays together, I feel like they could easily go to Worlds. And I could see one of these better teams on paper just underperforming, and they just don't function the way we want them to.
I don't think it'd be the better teams underperforming. I think it's just they just get outplayed. Because both teams have a plan coming in. One person executes it better. Sometimes it is based off player skill. That's going to be 90% of what's going to happen. But another team physically has to outplay you.
Well, let's be honest.
They don't go up on stage and go like, Bjergsen's like, well, I think we just suck, so I think we'll just stop playing the game.
I don't like to be results-based, because results-based is 100% an incorrect way to look at it.
No, I'm talking about both teams have a plan going in.
Well, yes, you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but easily I could say that being results-based would obviously, it won't show the full capabilities of the team.
You have to factor in, are these players capable enough to outplay the better teams on a draft that's specifically designed for them? That's kind of what their strength is. They have to play a draft specifically designed for them to beat the other teams. Because I think playing standard is not going to do well for them.
It doesn't matter.
And against other teams that are better.
They're not better than these teams. The teams that they beat at Worlds, they weren't better than them. They underperformed at the Worlds for the most part. Freak of Freaks, Kramer and Tucson are incredibly world-class.
I mean, to be fair, Freak of Freaks were inconsistent the entire year.
They weren't. They did extremely well both splits. I mean, the second split, they were a few games behind first place. The first
they actually could have made the finals.
Yeah, and then they did extremely well towards the end of the year. I think Like, for the most part, I would say that the biggest thing about... They had a world-class bot lane. Tucson and Kramer are extremely good. And
I would have... If we had the top 20 players, I would have put Tucson as number 20.
I would have put him higher than that. I think
Really?
that Tucson, Kramer are obviously better than Zazel Sneaky. In mid lane, I think that Koro was probably slightly beat by Jensen. And that's only slightly, I would say. I think a lot of people like to over-exaggerate. I think he underperformed at Worlds again. Because the way... Yeah, he underperformed a lot. Like, he's a lot better. He's a lot better player. What he showed in Korea is not the same extent of what he showed at Worlds. He was the MVP, actually.
Oh, he did get an MVP.
And Keen is the best top laner. Second.
He got invited to Asia Games in his first year.
He was the second best top laner in the world behind the Shy. And honestly, during the recency before Worlds, he was the best top laner. He was better than the Shy recently, but the Shy picked it back. Well, no, the Shy.
I think they were. I think it's just literally even at that point.
No, the Shy was extremely. He was the best top laner in the world during Spring Split. But at the very end, he got hurt. And then during Summer Split, he didn't play a lot. And towards the end of Spring Split...
When he played a lot, he still beat every single person.
When he started playing again in Summer Split, he definitely did not come off the bat playing extremely well. He picked it back up gradually.
He was playing worse by his standard, but still better than everybody he came across.
No, he lost to a lot of lanes, honestly. I'm going to be
Camping
honest.
doesn't count.
No, he didn't get camped, man. The Shy gradually picked up his... What's it called? By the time Worlds picked up around, he had just got off a hot streak. I think, and that's why I think Keen recently, on paper, a lot of these teams beat them, and underperformance is definitely a key factor in a lot of these.
It's underperformance, but they don't predict that. You got to factor in, Cloud9 doesn't go, you guys are going to perform, so we're going to just perform bad, too.
Why does that mean anything?
Because each team is going to play their own game.
They're not going to go in there and try and lose. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that both teams are going to go in and put their best foot forward, trying to beat out the other team based off a strategy that they prepared. Are you saying that a Freak of Freaks didn't underperform? Tell me if they did. Yes or no?
Because I saw Freak of Freaks all year, and they were
extremely consistent in the spring, and they looked...
The problem is like...
They looked strong. They still looked pretty decently strong towards Summer Split, and at the end of it, they looked extremely strong. Like, I think they had a few bad weeks, but for the most part, they looked pretty strong.
But the meta really didn't suit them, though. The meta suited them when it didn't turn to aggressive.
They were always aggressive. Spirit,
Kuro?
No,
Keen, right?
No, they were talking about the secondary jungler.
Oh gosh, Mugli.
Yeah, those were two pretty decent. Like, Mugli was a good aggressive jungler.
The guy, he went to Vitality, but that guy got him sometimes more wins than Spirit did during the summer.
I think Spirit was the more consistent player, but
yeah,
like Mugli was a pretty great aggressive.
I think that Cloud9. That's what I'm trying to say. I think Cloud9's strength to beating people is outsmarting them.
If
you can't beat someone straight up by lane, you might as well go outsmart them.
They didn't outsmart them. I feel like they just straight up mechanic them.
They have to outplay somebody.
They did outplay them. I'll give it to them. Because
you said the only reason why they beat Uzi is when they went bot lane. They beat bot lane.
Well, the thing about it is, the difference between that is that RNG is weaker on... I'm going to be honest, RNG is weaker around the map than Afrika was.
No, but that was what you said. It was that they had to go and beat bot lane
because
to beat
if you kill bot lane, the rest of the map, I don't think they're confident enough to carry on their own without Uzi.
Oh, no, because Licorice was beating Let Me.
Yeah, Let Me is solid, but he's not a great carry top laner. I think for the most part, I think the reason why Cloud9 won a lot of these games... I think they definitely...
outsmarted?
I don't think they outsmarted. I think the drafting phase suited it to them to where the game became a lot easier for them to compete in. Yeah. And then the other team underperformed. Saying they didn't underperform is definitely incorrect.
Oh no, they definitely don't underperform.
Well, yes,
but I think
Afrika on a good day would have beat them. I think that's.
I think it'd be a lot. I think it's still.
I think it would have been close. 3-1.
Maybe 3-0. I honestly think that in terms of what Afrika Freaks were showing all year, probably 3-1.
I think Afrika Freaks on a good day would have beat them, but I think the fact is they had a bad day on top of the fact that
we gotta factor in Afrika struggled against Griffin. Griffin's a new team.
Griffin was one of the. If they came to Worlds, they probably would have won it, man. Griffin looked extremely strong.
Griffin said they beat every single team in scrims.
Yes, they are extremely strong. That's unfair to say to anyone.
Not necessarily. Like Afrika were struggling against rookie players that only started playing.
They've been playing League forever, and they had a good coaching staff behind them. And they obviously, rookies doesn't mean that sometimes
inexperience.
Inexperience doesn't always apply because if you come off the bat and you're good, you're just good. It doesn't. Inexperience only applies in a situation where it weakens you. It didn't weaken them. They played strong, and I think Korea obviously was weaker this year. But for the most part, I think Griffin was strong. I think it's unfair to say.
I really did want Griffin at Worlds.
Yeah, I did.
Rest in peace,
I would like to see Cloud9. I want to see a. We kind of got off topic because
not necessarily because it is kind of translate back.
I think that I really liked Freak of Freaks, and I thought they just disappointed me at Worlds. But for the most part, I think that Cloud9 is, for the most, like, if they rely mostly on the drafting phase and kind of try and, they mitigate their weaknesses based solely off of better drafting.
We talked about this before. They do have Band-Aids. Their Band-Aids is that they have to kind of cover a bot lane. Bot lane, do this.
Bot lane and jungle inconsistencies. I think that what they need to do is essentially they kind of have to cover these up with better drafting phases, which kind of you don't see these weaknesses as apparent because of the fact that Rapid Star is just incredible. So is Reaper. I just think that without these two, this team would not be nearly the same. This team would not have made it to Worlds, in my opinion, without these two.
Yeah. But I think that, I mean, we've broken them down. I think despite not being a fan, they have to outsmart people. That's you have weaker players in lane.
Yeah, they have
no
choice.
So what other choice do you have? Is you have to outsmart them, and I have to come in with a better game plan to execute them.
I think on
certain days they cannot, like certain days Sneaky can outperform Sven, but is that going to? But you can't bank on that being as consistent. Okay, so just say it happens like 1 week. It's not gonna happen every single week.
I think it's gonna happen once out of every 9 weeks.
Yeah,
I think
so that can't happen. Like there's been weeks where Doublelift's lost to the best 80, like the worst ADC in the league.
I don't know if that's ever happened, but
I mean that's a factor that could happen.
I'm just saying. I think that with this team, it's relying solely on the fact that this drafting phase is gonna cover up their weaknesses. I think their biggest thing that they could probably do is work on the mentality of Svenskeren and taking these games seriously, man. Like, there's no reason why he should be consistently underperforming during the regular split.
But somehow is able to clap world-class
junglers. Yeah, there's no reason for that. It's inconsistency, and it's really, the fact that...
If you factor in the Afrika Freak series, that means he beat 2 junglers that had game plans of his knowledge and saw his pathing.
Yeah, he played extremely well. Like, he just went off. I like Svenskeren. I'd like to see him consistent. Like, when he's on top of his game, he's one of the most enjoyable junglers to watch. But I don't like him when he's off his game. It's not apparent what he is.
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of going a bit longer with them because this is my team and we like to go over them a little bit more in depth. I do have a big heart for them. But I do think I see what they're doing. You have to outsmart at the end of the day, you got to outsmart your opponents.
Well, we can't. I don't want to keep going over this.
You have to do that in general.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah. But, and if you go with that is technically better than going by, okay, these players are probably not going to be as bad as the other guys are. But if you can outsmart everybody, you're going to win all those games.
Well, yes, let's see. But they got a weaker version of Jensen in what they brought in AC. I think that all around the map, I still think they're going to be slightly better because I think Licorice is going to improve. And so is Azel because they're both rookies and they looked extremely good.
Yeah.
And I think that Blabber himself could probably take over the starting spot if... Like, not even the starting spot, but more so function better as a secondary jungler.
I think if Blabber was your starter, it'd be a whole lot more better for you in terms of if you're going for regular split success just to get to the playoffs. Blabber
I would like to see a situation where he gets rid of his nerves and he functions as a great secondary tank jungler. I would like to see a carry and tank jungler duo.
But he played carries. Remember how they played the Zillion Kindred combo?
I understand that, but he wasn't good on them. I think that he's obviously better on tank junglers.
But
I think
I would prefer if he was a starter. Because I think he'll give you the regular split success you need, and I think Svenskeren will give you the playoff success you need.
I don't think I don't want Svenskeren's obviously done well in this regular split. He did fine in spring.
Of TSM's 2016,
yeah,
he went 17
that's
like 1 compared to
even then. I think he did well in the spring.
No, the spring for 2017 he did well too.
I think he did well in spring split of 18.
Summer 2016 and spring 2017.
He did fine in spring of 18 too. I'm gonna be honest.
They've been good. I think but inconsistencies really plagued this guy. Honestly, he was going to be like number 3 in my power rankings for junglers, but
there was no reason for that. He's not been consistent enough.
That's the problem. If he was consistent enough, maybe. But I think their shining lights this year are going to be Licorice. I think Sneaky is going to, as long as you don't have to be the best. People really do overrate that best title. You don't have to be the best. Some of the best players that have done really well at League have not been the best in their positions.
Well, they also had a great team around. I feel like if you want, again, they need superstars on this team.
Yeah.
And Niski has to perform to standard.
Why couldn't they have gotten Caps?
Svenskeren has to be consistent, and Licorice has to improve if they want to be a world-class team. I don't see that happening with all these players staying the same.
But that's kind of their come around full circle. We covered gaps, synergies, weaknesses, versatility, play style. Man,
I know a lot of people
think they're going to be a early or a late game team. They seem like a mid game team, kind of.
I don't like their mid game. I think that they're, depending on what the jungler is, to be honest, it's going to be revolving solely around that. Early game aggression with Svenskeren, obviously, and
I think it'll be just fine.
Supportive types or versatility. I think he's versatile and he can play aggressive, but there's no reason to pick him over Svenskeren for
Like the
really
shot calling aspect. Who do you think? I mean, they're gonna feed information to each other. There's
I
not
don't
one
think they have a
full-on
great
shot caller.
They never have a good shot caller. I still don't like their shot calling, so I don't think that's really going to be their function. I think they're going to function better as an early game aggressive team, but I think when they don't revolve around that, I feel like they kind of falter a little bit because they're not as good at late game as like TSM. TSM was one of the best late game teams. Them and the 100 Thieves last split. They are not as good as those teams late game. And they need to try and take advantage of the fact that they have weaker positions.
Oh, something I didn't mention. If their style is, from what I've seen in the past couple of years, if their style is we're going to do our own thing, do not switch that. There is no point in going, hey, I'm successful doing my own thing when the meta changes, and then conform to the meta and then lose. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if the meta doesn't really facilitate your playstyle,
yeah, unless it doesn't facilitate
it really happens often. That's why you have to conform to the meta.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're in a situation and like the whole year is the same, just play the same way you've been playing. If that's been consistent for you, you might as well do it. I don't see a situation where you need to just somehow do the other team's style because they're gonna win with it. You've done well with your style. Unless the meta changes and you have to change it, but I think that's where they come out as a fault. You can't just change things up and have players try a completely different thing that they've never tried in weeks and expect success.
All right.
So that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. I think Cloud9 is going to be a pretty solid team, especially Rapid
Top
Star.
4 caliber.
Calabar. Yeah. Don't do it, man.
Top 4 caliber.
I'd like... Please stop it, man. Rapid Star is incredible. I'd like to see him in person next time we go to the LCS. I hope that happens.
I hope I get to make out with Daddy Sneaky.
Please stop it. All right, guys. So have a good night.
Oh, yeah. I was supposed to give Licorice a tub of licorice, and he said it'd been a good idea, and they told me not to do it.
Why did you say that?
Because I want to make